Ho-jin is one of the best interpreters in the business, fluent in at least 5 languages. He can move between cultures without missing a beat, but the one language he has never managed to learn is the language of his own feelings. When the story begins, he is in Japan, working an interview session for a South Korean author named Mr. Kim, and his next job is already lined up in Spain. His whole life is basically a map that never stops spinning, always jumping from one city to the next, from one language to another. At a ramen shop, he sits next to a woman named Cha Moo-hee, who is losing a fight with a translation app on her phone. She assumes he is Chinese, right up until his phone buzzes with a Kakao Talk notification and gives him away as Korean. That same day, an Italian boy traveling with a tour group suddenly has a severe allergic reaction. Ho-jin, who speaks both Italian and Japanese, jumps in and calls an ambulance. Moo-hee offers to watch his things while he handles it. But when he comes back, her help turns out to come with a price. She wants him to be her interpreter. It turns out Moo-hee did not come to Japan for a vacation. She came to confront the ex-boyfriend who cheated on her, and the other woman happens to be the owner of that exact ramen shop. Reluctantly, Ho-jin becomes the bridge between them, and he walks straight into someone else's storm. The reality is worse than Moo-hee expected. Her ex has a long history with Aiko, the shop owner, who is now 7 months pregnant. The baby is not even his. But the discovery that Moo-hee was unknowingly the other woman in this mess completely shatters her. He pulls Moo-hee into a hug to shield her from the humiliation and tells Aiko that the two of them only came to end things on good terms. They walk out in awkward silence. A second later, Moo-hee comes running back because their phones got swapped by accident. From that small mix-up, everything begins. This is Can This Love Be Translated? The Italian family Ho-jin helped calls to thank him and gifts him a dinner for 2 at a fancy restaurant. He accepts, and he invites Moo-hee along. They end up spending the whole day together on Enoshima Island, talking about small things and slowly getting to know each other. Moo-hee introduces herself as a rookie actress with nearly 10,000 Instagram followers and suggests they follow each other. Ho-jin turns her down, worried about his privacy if he starts befriending celebrities. He tells her that one day she might have 10 million followers, and the way he says it makes her blush. She even thanks him for rejecting her so sweetly. By the shore, Ho-jin admits something surprising. He once loved a woman he met on this very island, and every year he returns on her birthday just to measure how much he still misses her. It is an honest, sad confession, and instead of scaring Moo-hee off, it only makes her more curious about him. On the way to the restaurant, they get separated by a railway crossing. From across the tracks, Ho-jin gets word that the woman he loves is currently in Japan. Moo-hee tells him to go. The moment the train passes, he is gone, and she is left standing there, kicking herself for never getting his number. A few months later, Moo-hee lands the lead role in a horror film, playing a character named Do-ra-mi. On the final day of shooting, she has to perform a dangerous stunt with no double. Everything goes perfectly. The crew applauds. The director is happy, and then her safety cable snaps and she falls. She spends months in a coma. When she finally opens her eyes, the world has completely changed. The film became a global phenomenon while she was asleep. Her name is trending everywhere, and countless people have been waiting for news of her recovery. Now here is what she missed while she was unconscious. On the day Moo-hee fell, Ho-jin had just returned to Korea. A taxi driver happened to mention a celebrity's name, and it made him think of her. He opened Instagram, found her Enoshima photo with a thank you caption, became her 10,000th follower, and sent her a message apologizing for leaving her so suddenly that day. After she woke up and became famous, he quietly kept an eye on her online. Within a few weeks, her follower count blew past 10 million, and she still cannot believe her own luck. During an interview for Fog magazine, Moo-hee does not expect the interpreter assigned to her to be Ho-jin. When she sees him calmly seated beside her, her smile is instant and genuine. When a reporter asks about the man in her Enoshima photo, she keeps it simple and just says he was someone who helped show her the way in Japan. Ho-jin took this specific assignment for a reason. There is something he needs to settle with Moo-hee, but her packed schedule forces him to shadow her all day. While she is in the dressing room, he overhears her assistant mention how much Moo-hee keeps thinking about their time together back in Japan. Afterward, Moo-hee suggests they finally have the dinner they missed. Ho-jin agrees, but he gets straight to the point and asks her to delete his Enoshima photo, worried someone might recognize him. She refuses at first, saying deleting it would only start rumors. Then he tells her the real reason. He does not want the woman he likes to see that photo and figure out that he came to Enoshima on her birthday, because as it turns out, the meeting with the woman he loved never actually happened. After dinner, Ho-jin says he will contact her manager, Kim Yong-woo, about the photo, and it turns out Yong-woo already knows him, because Ho-jin visited Moo-hee while she was in her coma, long before her film blew up. At home, Ho-jin finds a good luck charm in his desk drawer and remembers Shin Ji-sun, the woman he fell for in Japan. Ji-sun once bought matching charms for the two of them, so they would always be able to find each other. But at their next meeting, he learned that Ji-sun had become his stepbrother's girlfriend. That is why he hesitated to see her in Japan. His love story never ran smoothly from the very start. Ho-jin messages Yong-woo to take the photo down, and Moo-hee agrees. But while reading the message on Yong-woo's phone, she discovers something that melts her heart. Ho-jin had been asking about her condition the entire time she was in the hospital. Now she is even more curious about the lucky woman he has feelings for. Later, Moo-hee calls Ho-jin to thank him. At that exact moment, Yong-woo figures out that the mystery woman, Ji-sun, is a TV producer he recognizes, and he blurts it out loud. Ho-jin hears the whole thing through the phone and gets annoyed that Moo-hee is digging into his personal life. That night, Moo-hee comes to his house to apologize in person. Ho-jin invites her in and decides to finally satisfy her curiosity so she will stop getting involved. He explains how he and Ji-sun met while traveling, lost contact, and then Ji-sun turned up as his stepbrother's girlfriend. Moo-hee asks whether things would have gone differently if they had not missed that dinner in Japan. Ho-jin says no. He still has feelings for Ji-sun, and he wants to bury them on his own. Embarrassed, Moo-hee insists she only wanted to make sure he had no feelings for her. Ho-jin agrees and says it is best if they stop seeing each other, though he promises to support her from a distance. At a film festival in Tokyo, something strange happens. Moo-hee suddenly hallucinates that she sees Rami, her horror movie character, pushing her. She snaps back to reality only when a Japanese actor catches her on the red carpet, which sets off a huge frenzy among the reporters. Later, once his work is done, Ho-jin returns to his hotel and finds Moo-hee crouched alone in the hallway, crying, convinced she is losing her mind and that the festival she waited so long for is ruined. The actor who caught her is Hiro, and he is deeply vain. He did not do it out of concern, he just did not want his event turning into chaos. Ho-jin takes Moo-hee to a doctor he knows. She asks for anti-anxiety medication and reluctantly explains her hallucinations of Rami. She also reveals something heavier. As a child, she was involved in the accident that killed both her parents, though she remembers almost nothing about it. As her interpreter, Ho-jin hears every word, and it clearly hits him hard. Meanwhile, the producers of a TV show called Romantic Trip are hunting for an actress to pair with Hiro. They watch the clip of him catching Moo-hee and decide the two are perfect together. A romantic actor and a horror actress make a contrast that would get a lot of people curious. The doctor gives Moo-hee some pills and tells Ho-jin she should avoid alcohol at her event that night. But at the party, Moo-hee runs into Hiro, who is expecting a big thank you. She does not even recognize him and assumes he only wants a selfie. To Hiro, that is an insult he cannot forgive. The Romantic Trip producers then recruit Ho-jin as their interpreter, since the show plans to travel the world and his languages will be invaluable. He is surprised to learn it was Ji-sun who recommended him. That same night, Ho-jin runs into his stepbrother Na Jin-suk, a famous author and Ji-sun's boyfriend. Drunk, Jin-suk announces he plans to get married within a month. When Ji-sun arrives to pick Jin-suk up, she asks Ho-jin about the TV job. Realizing this job could let him skip his brother's wedding entirely, Ho-jin accepts on the spot. But a surprise is waiting for him at the studio. The lead actress of Romantic Trip is Moo-hee. During the first interview, she sees Rami again and freezes up, unable to answer properly. On a break, Yong-woo warns her that Ho-jin might only be there because Ji-sun asked him to be, which quietly breaks her heart. When they talk alone, Moo-hee admits she already saw a doctor and the results were fine, even though Rami still haunts her. Ho-jin accuses her of not taking care of herself, which offends her, because she has been fighting so hard to get better. He was only worried, but it came out harsh and dismissive. They argue about the job and the whole situation, and both leave uncomfortable. Moo-hee assumes he took the job to impress Ji-sun. He sets her straight. He took it to avoid attending Ji-sun's wedding, which would break his heart, and now he is stuck babysitting an unstable co-star instead. After he leaves, Moo-hee sees Rami in the elevator, and when the doors open, the crew finds her crouched and screaming. Convinced she just lost the job, she asks Young-woo to get her out of there. Mr. Kim visits Ho-jin's house and notices a family photo. Even after years of friendship, he only now realizes that Jin-suk was born to a different mother. He also asks about Moo-hee and reminds Ho-jin that his sharp tongue can wound people without him even noticing. Moo-hee works up the nerve to invite Ho-jin out, and they apologize to each other. She assumed she failed the audition because of her health, but Young-woo tells her she actually landed the role. Happy and nervous all at once, she begs Ho-jin not to quit so he can stay by her side. Hero embraces his part in Romantic Trip until he learns his co-star is Moo-hee, the woman who bruised his ego. She greets him warmly, but he answers with pure coldness. The first destination is Canada. Moo-hee finally realizes the man who caught her on the red carpet was Hero, but she barely cares because her focus is always on Ho-jin. Ho-jin, meanwhile, notices Hero clearly dislikes Moo-hee, which is bound to cause trouble. At the hotel, Ho-jin asks Young-woo about Moo-hee's first impression of Hero, claiming he is only curious for the sake of the show. Moo-hee reads it as jealousy and gets flustered. She uses Young-woo as an excuse to visit Ho-jin's room. He immediately sees through it, and he invites her out for a walk instead. During the walk, he mentions his brother is getting married next week. Moo-hee admits she still sees Rami, who constantly taunts her. Ho-jin suggests Rami is nothing more than the voice of her own thoughts. But Moo-hee cannot bring herself to explain what Rami actually says because it is all teasing about Ho-jin, and that is far too embarrassing. Hero hears that Moo-hee is planning a surprise for their first meeting, and his assistant suggests he prepare one too. Hero admits he is not actually angry about the earlier snub. He is just worried Rami's horror image will wreck his carefully built romantic branding. When Moo-hee asks Ho-jin what Hero thinks of her, he refuses to say, both to protect her feelings and because his job is to translate without adding his own emotions. He just tells her to ignore Rami when she appears. The next day, they shoot the first meeting scene at a park. Hero, wanting revenge, releases a bunch of balloons and tells Moo-hee to follow them to find him. Hating to watch her wear herself out, Ho-jin quietly helps her find Hero faster. When Hero sneaks in insults about her film, Ho-jin filters out the worst of it, until the shoot stops because wind blows something into Hero's eye and knocks out his contact lens. Ho-jin sees straight through the little scheme. Ho-jin confronts Nanami, Hero's manager, and pushes for the problem to be fixed quietly. Nanami hints at something that just might change Hero's attitude. Ho-jin heads into the city to meet an acquaintance, and Moo-hee tags along to apologize to Hero, since her heart-shaped maple leaf gift had scattered dust into his eyes. While Ho-jin meets his contact, Moo-hee spots Hero taking photos, looking perfectly fine. Rami urges her to throw a rock at him for lying, but she holds back, and Hero quickly leaves. Ho-jin tells her plainly that Hero has simply disliked her from the start. Then he professionally hands Hero an envelope from his acquaintance, and somehow it changes Hero's mind about continuing. On the way to the next location, Ho-jin admits he had not been translating everything Hero said. As a show of support, he promises to translate everything Moo-hee says from now on, even her harshest words, even though it breaks his own rule as an interpreter. Following his advice to look tougher, Moo-hee marches toward Hero with a fist, then turns it into a heart shape at the last second. Hero's heart races. He realizes just how big-hearted she is, and that she holds no grudge against him. A flashback reveals the envelope contained tickets to an ice hockey game Hero had been desperately hunting for. That is what lifted his mood. In return, he promises the producers he will not hide his feelings if he genuinely starts to like Moo-hee, all to boost the show. The two do activities all across Canada, and Moo-hee is constantly smiling and cheerful, which throws Hero off. Nanami points out that Moo-hee looks like she is on a date with someone she has feelings for, and that comment gets into Hero's head. That evening they watch the sunset together, and Moo-hee says it is the most beautiful one she has ever seen because she is not watching it alone. The words touch Hero, and he starts to open up to her. The biggest thing everyone is waiting for is the aurora. Unfortunately, the producer who promised it has to rush home for an emergency, and the whole schedule gets shaky, and the chances of seeing the aurora get slimmer. With the next day's shoot cancelled, Young-woo invites Moo-hee for drinks. Disappointed that Ho-jin is not there, she ends up reading his books and wearing his glasses to feel closer to him. Ho-jin walks in and catches her red-handed, then has to chase her down to get his glasses back because she wandered off still wearing them. Later, Ho-jin locks himself out of his room. Young-woo is fast asleep, and Moo-hee has forgotten her key too, so the two of them end up talking all night in the lobby until she falls asleep. The next morning, Ho-jin takes her to a market, and Moo-hee reveals she has been collecting 7 four-leaf clovers because she believes they will bring her luck and help her see the aurora. She has 6, with 1 left to find. Ho-jin is skeptical, but she asks him to believe. When Ho-jin steps away, he runs into Jisun, who has just flown in to replace the producer who left. Moo-hee follows and is crushed to see Jisun there, which basically confirms to herself that she has feelings for Ho-jin. The three of them end up riding together, and Rami taunts Moo-hee, revealing that she faked forgetting her hotel key just to be alone with Ho-jin. Under that pressure, Moo-hee asks Jisun about her wedding, but Jisun dodges the question and only says she is the last producer left. Later, at a group dinner, Jisun admits she postponed her wedding for the sake of romantic trip. Moo-hee tries to comfort a clearly disturbed Ho-jin and suggests he move on. He says he once tried to get close to someone else and it did not work out, then accuses her of taking advantage of the situation. In truth, she only wanted to help and expected nothing back. Hurt, she curses him to stay miserable until his love kills him and storms off. The next day, the crew shoots out of town, hoping to finally catch the aurora. While they set up camp, Ho-jin has a minor accident and tries to handle it alone, and Nanami covers his interpreting duties for the time being. The shoot wraps fine, but the aurora never shows. Hiro notices Moo-hee is not her usual cheerful self, and Nanami assumes it is because he translated her poorly. Around the same time, Yonggu accidentally takes a call from Jin-suk, who mentions the wedding cancellation and says he wants to fix things. Jisun snatches the phone away and warns Yonggu to keep it a secret. When Ho-jin finally returns, he asks Moo-hee to meet him at a bridge. She apologizes, convinced her curse caused his accident. He assures her it was not a curse and points at the sky, where the aurora is glowing beautifully. He also surprises her with the 7th four-leaf clover, which he found while dealing with the aftermath of his accident. She is overjoyed and asks him to stay and enjoy the view a little longer. A flashback shows that Ho-jin knew all along that she faked forgetting her key. Realizing how strong her feelings are, he starts to open his heart and lets her keep watching the aurora with him. Not wanting the moment to end, Moo-hee invites him to leave with her, but the second they reach his room, he gets irritated when she starts gushing about how cute Hiro's cheeks are. Back at camp, Young-woo, who clearly knows Ji-sun well, warns her not to get back with a cheating ex. Ji-sun gets an idea to fake an affair as a clean way to end things with Jin-suk. When Young-woo asks about Ho-jin, she explains she once had feelings for him, but does not want to use him for that. The next day, a scheduling conflict blocks the crew from a location. While waiting, Moo-hee and Hiro chat despite the language barrier, and the effort she puts into communicating impresses him even more.
곰! 곰! 잡아먹힌다고!
When the gate finally opens, Moo-hee and Ho-jin kill time together. He mentions he grew up in America and once came here, then tries to take her to a nearby waterfall but forgets where it is. She says they can just pretend to see it so he does not feel bad. In the middle of that sweet moment, she suddenly kisses him, then pulls back in shock and blames Rami. That night, everyone plays a drinking game at a bar, and Hiro, who hates losing, still enjoys himself because of Moo-hee. Afterward, they say goodbye, since their next meeting is the shoot in Italy. Watching Ho-jin act like the kiss never happened, Moo-hee starts to wonder if she means anything to him at all. She remembers being unloved by her family as a child, then abandoned as an adult by the man who made her his mistress, and now stuck in a one-sided love. Adding it all up, she convinces herself she simply does not deserve to be loved by anyone. Before flying to Italy, Moo-hee decides to go home to Korea first, and Ho-jin offers to drive her to the airport. On the way, he admits the kiss kept him up at night and says he wants to understand his own feelings. But first he needs to talk to Ji-sun. Relieved he is not brushing her off, Moo-hee admits she is tired of pretending everything is fine, her way of saying she is waiting for his answer. He promises to contact her once he sorts himself out, and the tension between them finally melts away as they enjoy the rest of the ride. At the airport, Yong-gu, worried Moo-hee is falling for Ho-jin, blurts out that Ji-sun's wedding is cancelled, hoping to stop her from getting her hopes up. Instead, an anxious Moo-hee cancels her flight and rushes off to find Ho-jin. She is too late. She sees him looking happy, talking with Ji-sun, and hurries away heartbroken, but Ho-jin spots her and chases after her. Assuming he is about to run back to Jisun and give up on them, Moo-hee tells him to end everything, and a frustrated Ho-jin agrees, saying maybe he just got caught up in the moment. In reality, he had only been discussing his brother's situation with Ji-sun, and he had already let go of his feelings for her. Now he is baffled by Moo-hee suddenly giving up. She realizes her mistake only after he has already walked away. She got too emotional and ignored the truth right in front of her. Moo-hee returns to the airport in tears and flies to Korea on the same plane as Hiro, who never went back to Japan. She sits frozen the whole flight, and Hiro quietly wonders if she is okay. In Korea, Ho-jin brings his drunk brother home. Heartbroken, Jin-suk decides to leave for Spain. A flashback reveals his wedding to Ji-sun collapsed because they failed to translate their love for each other. Jin-suk printed the invitations without discussing it with her, and when she asked why he wanted to marry so fast, his answer was shallow. Ji-sun wanted marriage too, but not rushed, and she needed real thought before starting a life with someone. Jin-suk was the opposite, a free spirit who saw marriage as just a written promise. So she ended it. Meanwhile, Mr. Kim keeps trying to push Ho-jin and Moo-hee together. First, he sets up a music show outing for the two of them, which falls through when Ho-jin has something urgent and deliberately keeps his distance. Refusing to give up, Mr. Kim corners them in an elevator and invites Moo-hee to dinner at Ho-jin's house, even though Ho-jin, as the host, never agreed. Moo-hee happily accepts, seeing it as her chance to fix things. Elsewhere, Hiro and Nanami spend a night by the Seoul riverside. Hiro keeps hoping Moo-hee will contact him first and refuses to call her, using photography as an excuse, when really he just wants to see her again. Yong-woo goes to the editing room, hears that Jin-suk left for Spain, and on his way out sees Ji-sun arriving by taxi, clearly coming from a nightclub. She twists her ankle, and he helps her with real care. Here we learn Yong-woo is the nephew of the CEO of Moo-hee's agency, a former athlete who got injured and switched to being a manager. Even though he got in through connections, he has been reliably at Moo-hee's side since she was a nobody. He openly asks Ji-sun not to cheat, which is his indirect way of saying he likes her. She kisses him and thanks him for caring, and he kisses her back, telling her she pulled the trigger first. At the dinner, Mr. Kim asks why Moo-hee and Ho-jin do not follow each other on Instagram. Moo-hee has no idea Ho-jin has been following her for ages, buried among her millions of followers. As he leaves, Mr. Kim asks Ho-jin why he is being so cold to her. Ho-jin admits he is confused, since Moo-hee first rejected him and then kept coming closer. Mr. Kim wisely tells him to study the language of love the same way he studies every other language, because only then will he find his answer. Moo-hee finds a vinyl record of her favorite song and realizes Ho-jin loves the same one. As she is leaving, he catches her trying to sneak the record out, but he lets her because he already planned to give it to her as a gift. She is mortified, but thrilled. Then it turns out she only grabbed the empty sleeve and left the record behind, so Ho-jin calls and promises to deliver it to her place himself. Moo-hee waits outside her apartment, excited for him to arrive, until her uncle and aunt suddenly show up. She is forced inside to talk with them, while Ho-jin waits outside with no idea what is happening. After that, she becomes completely unreachable, and Ho-jin grows deeply worried. Strangely though, Yong-woo reports that she is perfectly fine and busy with a photo shoot. Meanwhile, Hiro finally decides to contact Moo-hee. A flashback reveals that on the plane back to Korea, Moo-hee kissed Hiro without warning. What Hiro does not know is that the person who kissed him was not really Moo-hee. It was her alter ego, Rami, who now not only lives in her mind, but can take control of her body. Here is the truth about Moo-hee's family, and it is the key to everything. Her relationship with her uncle and aunt is toxic, tied to a past trauma that made her lose her memory, and she has been pressured into silence about an event she cannot even remember. Their sudden arrival triggers that buried trauma, and Rami emerges as a defense mechanism. Rami meets the uncle and aunt at a church and threatens to expose the past event Moo-hee has been forced to forget, all so she could keep her place in their home. Cornered, the couple agree to never see Moo-hee again. Then, Rami goes to Ho-jin's house. Sensing something is off, he tells her to go home, but she keeps teasing him until she reveals why she came. She wants him to stop forgiving Moo-hee and to let her go, because only then will Ho-jin not get hurt and Moo-hee will not feel guilty for leaving him. Then Ho-jin passes out, because Moo-hee had slipped him sleeping pills, and in those final seconds Rami asks him not to tell Moo-hee about this conversation. At first, Hojin thought Muhi was just messing around, but he slowly realizes there is a serious mental health problem underneath all of it. When they meet again, Muhi genuinely remembers nothing and apologizes for vanishing after her relatives showed up. She also recalls a moment on a past job when she felt she could not function and simply closed her eyes, and when she came to, the job was finished and she was already home. Without her knowing, Rami had done it all for her. Meanwhile, Ji-sun messages Yong-woo to talk about something. He tells her to come up, not realizing she is already waiting outside his place rather than at the office. The two had spent the night together and now want to confirm their feelings, but when Ji-sun goes up, a woman answers the door and Ji-sun assumes he already has a girlfriend and feels betrayed. Yong-woo quickly explains. He had just moved into Hojin's house until he found a new place, and he had actually been waiting for her at the office. The whole thing was a misunderstanding. To keep their chemistry sharp before Italy, Muhi and Hiro meet. She is surprised he has started learning Korean. Hiro asks about the plane kiss, which Muhi immediately denies. In Japanese, Hiro reveals he already knows she did not kiss him out of real affection, but he came to confirm her feelings anyway. She does not understand the words, but she senses the sadness underneath and apologizes, wondering if Rami was behind it. Soon after, Rami emerges while Hojin is trying to talk to Muhi on the phone, and the call cuts off. Before leaving, Rami invites Hiro to meet somewhere. This is part of Muhi's subconscious trying to move on from Hojin fast and find a new love. On the way home, Rami takes Yong-woo's passport and flies to Italy early. While she is enjoying ice cream there, Hojin appears and realizes Rami is Muhi's alter ego. He tries to dig into Muhi's past to understand it, but gets nowhere. He asks Rami if she will disappear once Muhi is happy, and she says, maybe. When he goes to buy coffee, Muhi wakes up, but the person walking toward her is Hiro, who came at Rami's invitation. At the same time, Hojin returns and sees the two of them looking at each other. Before flying to Italy, Hiro plays with his nephew in Japan, and his older sibling notices he seems to be in love. Hiro denies it over and over until a message shows Muhi's location, waiting for him in Italy. When he meets her, Muhi does not remember how she got there, and she pieces together that Rami invited him and that his story about the kiss must be true. She explains that sometimes she is not aware of her own actions and apologizes for the confusion. She feels relieved when Hiro says he does not like her, not realizing he only said it to keep things from getting awkward between them. The romantic trip shoot in Italy finally begins, and Hojin does his job despite all his unanswered questions. The segment goes smoothly, but every night Rami takes over and lives a free life Muhi knows nothing about. Hojin accepts Rami as a separate person and keeps watch over her every single night. One night, he points out that Muhi seems happy and asks Rami why she has not disappeared yet. Rami explains that Muhi is only pretending to forget her trauma and is not truly happy. When Hojin gently strokes her head to comfort her, Rami bites him, a defense meant to keep Muhi's heart from softening again. During the shoot, Muhi is startled to find she can speak a little Italian, not knowing Hojin taught her while she was Rami. That night, Rami steals Hiro's beloved camera and makes it look lost, so Muhi will find it and grow closer to Hiro. Rami even threatens Hojin to help hide the camera, or else everything will fall apart and Muhi will lose her good name. At a crew dinner, someone asks why Ji-sun is not wearing her engagement ring. She slips it back on and pretends everything is fine, which makes Yong-woo jealous. Meanwhile, some of the crew spot Hojin with a woman, not realizing it is Muhi, and rumors start spreading that Hojin has a girlfriend.
통역사님이네요?
통역사님이요?
맞습니다.
The next morning, the search for the camera begins. Hojin plants it where Muhi will find it, then panics remembering Rami may have taken photos with it. When Muhi finds the camera, he pulls her aside to check, and luckily, there are no photos of the two of them. Recalling Rami's words that Muhi is too afraid to talk to him, Hojin takes the initiative to start a conversation and ease the weight she carries. At a restaurant he once visited as Rami's companion, a waiter tells Hojin that the actress Muhi always draws a 4-leaf clover on the napkin and hopes she will one day draw the 7th as a symbol of luck. It feels like a sign that he is meant to help her. Meanwhile, Muhi visits a photo exhibition, finds a picture of the aurora, and sheds a tear as her thoughts drift to Hojin. Within seconds, she becomes Rami. And this time, Hiro witnesses the change and finally understands that the figure who had been teasing him all along is another personality inside Moo-hee. When Rami meets Ho-jin, she reveals everything, and this is where the full picture finally lands. All this time, Moo-hee has still had feelings for him. Then comes the real trauma. As a child, Moo-hee watched her mother kill her father on Moo-hee's birthday, and she nearly became the next victim. Her uncle and aunt, instead of helping, hated her for no clear reason, so she grew up drowning in anxiety and the belief that she would never be loved. As an adult, her love ended with the bitter truth that she was only ever a mistress. Now she is terrified her love with Ho-jin will fail too, so she always chooses to leave first to avoid the pain. All of that pressure became Rami. Deeply moved, Ho-jin embraces her, and Rami asks him to let Moo-hee go so she can stop dreaming of a happy ending with him. Moo-hee wakes in her hotel room and, walking alone, meets a little girl selling hats who had clearly interacted with Rami before. Moo-hee is confused when the girl uses the Korean word for darling, which turns out to be Rami's nickname for Ho-jin during their time together. When the girl leaves, Moo-hee notices she already owns one of those hats and starts wondering if Rami bought it. Rumors about Ho-jin's lover reach Moo-hee. Nanami actually knows the woman was Moo-hee but only tells Hiro. When Hiro finds Moo-hee obsessing over who the girlfriend could be, he advises her to let it go so she has no regrets. A new problem hits when the next shooting location, a vineyard, is damaged by fire. Ji-sun is forced to contact her ex, who knows about vineyards, and the only one available belongs to Ho-jin's mother in Italy. Ho-jin's relationship with his mother is terrible, and Ji-sun feels guilty for dragging him into a family issue, but he accepts and only asks that the relationship be kept secret. When he next sees Moo-hee, Ho-jin does not deny the rumors about a lover, following Rami's advice not to give false hope. When he offers to explain the truth, Moo-hee is not ready to hear it and refuses. At the vineyard, the crew meets Ho-jin's mother, Mi-jung, and a man named Dario, while Ho-jin waits in the van. Inside the house, Moo-hee spots a photo of Mr. Kim and quickly connects the dots, realizing Mi-jung is Ho-jin's mother. She invites Mi-jung to talk on camera, and not wanting to ruin the mood, Ho-jin reluctantly greets her and accepts a dinner invitation. He tells Moo-hee he has not spoken to his mother in 13 years and only agreed because she is the reason he is stuck in this situation. At the house, Ho-jin misreads the situation and gets into a fight with Dario until his mother explains that Dario is her husband-to-be. As the argument peaks, Moo-hee fakes a fainting spell to break the tension and hurts her head slightly. Ho-jin tends to her carefully, but just as they grow closer, Dario calls Ho-jin over to talk with his mother. Here, we learn Ho-jin once wrote a book about his mother's failed marriage. Mi-jung was furious because it only criticized her mistakes, and Ho-jin pulled the book from shelves after she swore she would never speak to him again. Both were too proud to express their real feelings, so they stayed apart for over a decade. Now they finally apologize and make peace. The whole crew attends Mi-jung's wedding party. Ji-sun tells her colleagues her own wedding is off, and admits to Yong-gu that she stayed quiet because she was afraid she had not fully let go of Jin-suk, but now she truly has and wants to focus on their relationship, which makes Yong-gu happy. At the party, Ho-jin smiles watching Moo-hee, then remembers Rami's plea to let her go and walks away. Moo-hee shows Hiro a short farewell letter written in Japanese, saying that after the show she will support him only as a friend, and Hiro looks crushed. Alone in the wine cellar, Ho-jin runs into his mother and admits, for the first time, that he is in love, but that he believes it will not end happily. Mi-jung knows her son well and tells him to be more open and follow his heart instead of endlessly guessing. The thing is, Ho-jin loves Moo-hee completely, wounds, fears, Rami and all, but he decides to be a patient witness, waiting for her to make peace with her past, rather than forcing himself on her. When Moo-hee finds him to say goodbye, since tomorrow is the last shooting day, she apologizes and turns to leave, but Ho-jin pulls her back. He tells her that her belief that she has never been loved is an illusion, and he hopes she can move past her trauma and find happiness. For the show's closing segment, Hiro and Moo-hee meet at a fortress where Hiro confesses he genuinely likes her. Startled, Ho-jin translates it word for word anyway. Moo-hee looks into the camera and asks Ho-jin what she should say, but he only says he will translate whatever she says, which lands like a rejection. So Moo-hee tells Hiro, in English, that she feels the same way. Behind the scenes, Hiro admits to his manager that Moo-hee did not actually accept his love, and having felt rejected from the very start, he takes it well and even encourages her to chase her own love before saying goodbye. Finally, Moo-hee realizes all the stories about Ho-jin's mysterious lover were pointing to her the whole time. Then a staff member who had been watching them sends her a video of Ho-jin after the shoot, where he lowers his head and breaks into tears. As she watches, fragments of her memories from her time as Rami start surfacing, and she understands that Ho-jin had been protecting her and staying by her side every single night. Moo-hee goes to the restaurant where she and Ho-jin met as Rami's companion and draws the 7th clover on a napkin, with a wish that the aurora would light up the world. Ho-jin sees it, gets a photo from her, and rushes off to find her. That night, she explains she remembers everything and admits she still likes him. Following his mother's advice, Ho-jin tries to confess too, but his words come out far too complicated and just confuse her. Not knowing what else to do, he kisses her with everything he feels.
모르겠...
어두운 밤을 다 이겨내.
Ho-jin takes Moo-hee to his home in Italy. Now that he understands what she is afraid of, he suggests they start a relationship without worrying about how it ends and just focus on the present moment. She agrees, and they spend the night together, calm and at peace. Then a new problem erupts. Aiko's ramen shop suddenly goes viral, and netizens discover that Aiko's husband, Kim Yoo-jin, is Moo-hee's ex-boyfriend. They assume Moo-hee was dating a married man while his wife was pregnant, not knowing she was actually the victim of the affair. The news reaches Ji-sun and Ho-jin's Enoshima photo resurfaces. People guess the man in it is Yoo-jin, but Ji-sun is certain it is Ho-jin, and she finally realizes he came to Enoshima on her birthday. Elsewhere, Nanami finds Hiro passed out in his room and asks Ho-jin to interpret for the doctor. Luckily, Hiro is fine, just reacting to allergy medication. Before they part, Hiro asks Ho-jin whether he could express his feelings better if he shared the same language as Moo-hee. Ho-jin admits he struggled to understand her too, until he found the courage to be open and just speak his feelings. The scandal keeps spreading, so Moo-hee posts a photo with Yoo-jin and Aiko, telling the public they are just friends. The couple later come to Korea to thank and apologize to her. Shamelessly, Yoo-jin asks Moo-hee to promote his product for the sake of his child, who was born with a heart condition. She calls him a scumbag but agrees to help anyway for the sake of Aiko's innocent baby. Meanwhile, Ho-jin starts investigating Moo-hee's family, and Mr. Kim recalls hearing that her father was the head of a foundation who died young in an accident, which does not match the story Rami told. At the agency, Young-woo learns he will be transferred to the sports department, his dream from the very beginning, but it means moving to Europe next month, which is hard given that his relationship with Ji-sun only just started. When Ho-jin takes a train to Busan for work, Ji-sun happens to be seated right beside him, handling family business of her own. During the ride, she asks why he came to Enoshima on her birthday, and Ho-jin finally tells her everything, that he once loved her, as a way to close that chapter for good. Moo-hee and Hiro watch the preliminary results of their show, which look great, and Hiro chooses to let his confession stay in even without a happy ending. His Korean has improved so much that they can talk without an interpreter now, and Moo-hee thanks him for helping contain the scandal in Japan and apologizes for giving him false hope. Meanwhile, Mr. Kim uses his connections to meet Moo-hee's uncle and aunt, and asks, on behalf of Ho-jin, whom he now treats like his own son, what really happened to her family. Instead of the truth, the couple simply ask him to keep Ho-jin away from their niece. On his way back from Busan, Ho-jin meets Moo-hee at the station and they watch the night sky together. That same night, Young-woo picks up Ji-sun and shares his plan to move to Europe, then proposes because he does not want to break up. Ji-sun reveals they do not have to, since she also plans to study abroad and can come with him. They spend the night together until morning. Moo-hee visits her doctor and reports that she sleeps soundly now and has not seen Rami since telling Ho-jin about her childhood. The doctor explains Rami was likely closely tied to a childhood wound she had not finished processing. Then, Ho-jin finally meets Mr. Cha, Moo-hee's uncle, who reveals a huge secret. The woman who gave birth to Muhi was never part of their family. Mr. Cha's younger brother, always thought to be Muhi's father, had never actually married her mother. The mother loved him deeply and used Muhi as a way to hold on to him, and when things did not go the way she hoped, she took him to die alongside her. At the same time, Muhi meets her aunt, who admits they were forced to adopt her to protect the family's good name. But Muhi's face looked so much like her mother's that it frightened them, and they slowly came to hate her. Looking in the mirror, Muhi suddenly remembers she looks exactly like her mother, who also looked like Rami. Overwhelmed by all of it, she faints. A flashback reveals the full truth of that day. Muhi's mother was heartbroken over never getting the family's blessing, and as revenge, she decided to take everyone to die with her, including Muhi, twisting it into her idea of a happy ending she could finally have. When Muhi refused, her mother told her that no one would ever love her and she would never be happy, words that stuck with Muhi her whole life and that she always believed. Terrified, young Muhi tried to run and fell from the top of a building, but she was saved just in time. Muhi wakes in the hospital after 3 days unconscious. Hojin has been worried sick, and Hiro is relieved to hear she is okay. Then Hojin shows her a photo of her mother that he got from Mr. Cha and reveals one more twist. Both of her parents are actually still alive. When she fell as a child, someone reported it, and paramedics saved both parents. Her father now lives abroad to hide his scandal, and her mother's whereabouts are unknown. Mr. Cha had kept all of this hidden, assuming Muhi did not remember the incident. Meanwhile, Hiro auditions for an action film to shed his romantic image, telling the director he has to fight for what he wants, so he has no regrets. A lesson he learned from meeting Muhi. Nanami is deeply proud of him. Determined to make peace with her past, Muhi visits her uncle and aunt one last time to ask where her father is, hoping he can help her find her mother. As a gesture of peace, they finally grant her request, and Muhi heads abroad after saying goodbye to Hojin. Back in Korea, Yong-woo packs up his things from Hojin's house. Hojin's mother visits and donates her books to a thrilled Mr. Kim, and Hojin starts writing again while he waits for Muhi to return. Jisun and the crew celebrate the success of Romantic Trip, now ready to air, and Jisun announces she is engaged and will soon leave for England with Yong-woo to chase their dreams together. One night, Hojin gets an invitation from Muhi, who has come back to Korea to watch the stars. When they meet, she uses a translation app to tell him how much she missed him, and she brings him a whole bouquet of 4-leaf clovers. Hojin is left speechless, realizing that their love no longer needs to be translated. The story ends as the two of them kiss, and the observatory above them slowly opens to face the stars. So the moral of the story is, if your love life needs 3 interpreters, a translation app, an alter ego, and 7 4-leaf clovers, maybe just stay single for a week.